Hello, Toastmasters. This is a very helpful video on Basecamp and how to use basic features of Basecamp to select your pathway, go through your projects in that pathway, and to submit level completions. Remember, there is more you can do with your Basecamp, and this video just covers the basic features. And this video is mainly meant for new Toastmasters who are starting off their journey, but this can also be checked out by anyone who's interested to know about how Basecamp works and how it is set up. So without further ado, let me just give a quick introduction about Basecamp. So Basecamp is the digital repository, the digital hub of all things Toastmasters. So any project relevant material that you want to check out, you will always find it in Basecamp. And if you also want to capture some ideas that you have for the prepared speeches or for table topics, if you're preparing for the table topics contest, then you could capture them all in your Basecamp and have it like a central repository of your stories and ideas. So having said that, in this particular video, I will cover how you can select a pathway in Basecamp and how you can access the chosen pathway and the various resources relevant to your pathway, how you can complete your projects in Basecamp, because Basecamp is the source of truth that Toastmasters International refers to verify a member's progress in their pathway. So even if you have delivered a speech or have done multiple roles, if that progress is not reflected in Basecamp, then according to Toastmasters International, you have not made progress with respect to your pathway. Hence, it's very important to keep your Basecamp updated. So I will be mentioning how to complete your projects in Basecamp and how to complete or how to submit level completions. And what are the best practices that you can follow with regards to Basecamp? One of them I already mentioned, that is keeping Basecamp up to date. So first up, let me get started off with the first topic that I mentioned, which is the selection of pathways. So this is my Toastmasters International login. And as you can see here, there are three options as soon as I log in. Now, the first option of go to Basecamp will only be available after you have chosen at least one pathway. So until then, this option will not be visible. And hence, you need to know how to select or pick your pathway in Basecamp. So to do that, you can click on the Learning Hub option, which will be available to all the members. Let me just click that first. And once you are here, you see that there are multiple options. And you see this first option here, which says choose path, $20 US. You would have already paid this $20 US when you first joined Toastmasters as a part of your onboarding. But if you're choosing a second or a third or fourth pathway, then you need to pay $20 US to each pathway, to each new pathway that you choose. And so you'll have to reach out to your president or your VPM or your VPE, whoever is available, to make this payment and to pick a new pathway if you want to choose your second or third or subsequent pathways. So I will just, just assume that I've already paid $20 US and I will click on this choose path. Now, first up, it will ask me to select the path language. So let me just select that. I will choose English. And now, as you can see here, it gives me two options to decide on which pathway I can choose. Either I can click on view all path options, which will display all the pathways, or I can take an online assessment. So what that online assessment would do is that it would ask you a set of questions. And then based on your response to that questions, it will suggest you a pathway. So this way you can have the Toastmasters International website guide you on how to select your pathway. Of course, the best way to always choose a pathway is to have a discussion with your mentor and then just come to the website and choose the pathway. But If you also want to take an assessment before you go to your mentor for having a discussion, then you can always take this option of choosing an assessment. So let me just click on this, take an assessment. So it will show me a pop-up like this, and if I hit start, the assessment will begin. And once the assessment is done, so you usually, I mean, ideally, the Toastmasters International website should suggest you just one pathway, but in some cases, depending on your answers, it can suggest multiple pathways. So in which case, you can take that to your mentor and then just let them know that let them know what your objectives are, what you're trying to do, and then mention the pathways that were suggested in the Toastmasters International website in the assessment. And then finally let them know that or ask them for guidance on which pathway would suit your objectives the most, and then click. For now, let me just let me not do the assessment here. Let me just click on view all path options and hit continue. And as you can see here, I have a set of pathways that I can choose from. Now, if you look at this, the persuasive influence pathway is disabled because this was the first pathway that I chose, and so it's disabled. Now, for the sake of this video, I will just try to pretend that I'm trying to choose motivational strategies as my second pathway, and I hit continue. So now it shows me that I have chosen motivational strategies, and if I'm absolutely sure about this, I can hit continue again. It's taking a while to load. Yes. And now it comes to the submission of payment part. But of course, if you've already paid the $20, this part will not be there, and your selection of pathways would be completed. But since I have not yet paid for my second pathway, it's asking me for all of these payment details and payment information. And that is why you could reach out to your president or your VP or VPM and get their guidance on how to make the payment for the pathways, and let them handle the payment. And once they're done with that, they can confirm you and you can just choose your pathway. So this is how pathways selection is done. So the payment step would usually not be there if the payment is already done, but this is the way pathways are chosen usually. So this covers the first topic, which is pathway selection. Now let's just assume that I have chosen a particular pathway. Let's say, let me just take the example of the first pathway that I've chosen, which is the persuasive influence pathway. Just going to go back to my home page. So once you've chosen your pathway, you will get this option of go to Basecamp. Like I mentioned, this is the digital hub of all things relevant to your pathways. And so the first thing that I would like to show you is how to access all the materials related to your pathways. Now, if you click on this Go to Basecamp option, it takes you to your particular Basecamp. And of course, this is my Basecamp uh, from my pathways, but it'll take you to your respective Basecamp once you choose that option. And as you can see here, my current pathway, persuasive influence, is active. And also I had chosen another educational program, Toastmasters. So not just for pathways, Basecamp is your go-to resource for any educational program within Toastmasters. And so I have chosen another educational program called as Pathways Mentor Program. I don't want to go into the details of that because that's not relevant to what we're trying to cover today. So pathway that you have chosen would also show up here in the very first home page or the landing page of Basecamp. Your first pathway and also the subsequent pathways that you choose would all be lined up here. And say, for example, in my case, I've chosen the persuasive influence pathway. So all I need to do to access the materials relevant to my uh, pathways is to just click on this persuasive influence pathway tile. And once I choose this, so it'll take a time, a little bit of time to load. Yes. As you can see here, it first loads up, it loads up my level one progress, but usually the place where it lands is here. So once you've chosen your pathway from that home page, you will have all your levels relevant to your pathway listed here. As you can see, I've already completed level one and level two, and I'm in the process of completing my level three. Let me just show the levels that I've completed. So as you can see here, your levels are listed here. And as you complete each level, mark will be added against it to show you that you have successfully completed it. Now, let me just open up my level one. So as you can see here in level one, all the projects associated with level one are listed here. Icebreaker, writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, and evaluation and feedback. Now, every project or complete every project, it's not enough to just deliver the speech for that particular project. Of course, you have to deliver the speech for that project. But in addition to that, you have to come to Basecamp and then complete that project here in Basecamp, like I've done here for every single one of my level one projects. So complete, say for example, let's just assume that I haven't completed any of these projects and I am looking to complete my Icebreaker project in Basecamp. So let me just open up Icebreaker. It's taking a little bit of time to load. Yes, finally it's loaded. Now, as you can see here, so the level that I would be on, that is level one, is mentioned here, and then the Icebreaker project has been opened up. And within this Icebreaker project, there are about 10 to 12 exercises that I must complete. Right? So every exercise uh, explains a particular part, will tell you what that project is about, and then what you need to do for that project, the concepts that you need to understand in order to do that project, and what are the strategies in which you can approach that project. So completing these activities before you even start writing your speech is before you can write your speech is very, very essential, because that way you will have an idea on what that project is and how you can complete it and how you can approach it and then how you can complete it. So the recommended idea or the suggestion is not to complete your speech and then come to Basecamp and complete this project, but rather first come to Basecamp, look at the project that you're going to complete, and you can go ahead, discuss about the project with your mentor, get some ideas for the scripts, and then start writing the script, because that's the right way. Now you will have to know what needs to be done before you can do it, right? So the exercises here in the Basecamp project does precisely that. It tells you what has to be done and how you can do it. And as you can see here, there are some about 10 or 12 exercises that are available in the Icebreaker project. They're pretty much self-explanatory. So as you can see here, this is the very first page with respect to Icebreaker. And as you keep clicking the next button, you will be navigated to the next set of exercises. And the exercises would be pretty much self-explanatory. If you can just read through, it's very user-friendly. It's just like a standard LMS, very user-friendly, nothing complicated or anything. You can just read through each of the exercises and you can complete them. And as you complete every exercise, there will be a tick mark added against the exercise. If, say, for example, you have done or you think you have done a particular exercise, let me take this one as an example. You think you have done this particular exercise and you move on to the next one, but if the tick mark does not appear here, it means that there is something here in this exercise that you have missed. Or maybe you didn't read through the whole thing, you just missed reading through one of the things. So that's the thing about this LMS in Basecamp. It tracks whether you read through every part of that particular exercise, and if you haven't done that, or if there is some activity in that exercise which you haven't completed, then this tick mark does not get added even if you move on to the next one. And hence, before, I mean, you can consider that your project has been completed. Just ensure that every exercise here has a tick mark. So when you finally come to the before you move on section, it should have a tick mark. Now going back to the initial page that I was showing, uh, so your VPE would, I mean, whenever you schedule a speech, your VPE would ask you to share the project manual and the evaluation resource with your evaluator so that they can evaluate you effectively. Now, if you want to find your project manual or your evaluation resource, you do not have to go anywhere the Toastmasters website. All you have to do is just come to your Basecamp, open up the project, and the very first page in the project would have these 4 links. First one is the project checklist, which is for your own reference on what you need to do in order to complete that project. The second one is, of course, evaluation resource, which will be the evaluation resource that you should share to your evaluator. And the third one is the print the icebreaker project. It says print the icebreaker project, but it's usually the project manual. So you can take a PDF copy of your project manual, and you can read that online. So typically, the contents that you find in the project manual and the contents that you find in these exercises would be 90% similar. So if you have done all the exercises in your Basecamp, then it's pretty much equivalent to reading through your project manual. But however, if you want to just read through your project manual offline, then you can just download the PDF and then you can read it. But also to help your evaluator understand the project better, or to help your mentor understand a project better, if in case you're doing some projects as you move to higher levels in your pathway, you can just take a printout, sorry, you can just take a PDF download of your project manual, which would be the third link most of the times. And you can just send it to your mentor or to your evaluator so that they can understand the project better. And the fourth one is the outline worksheet, which is once again, which is for your own reference to help you plan your project better. So these are the resources with respect to your project that you will need, right? So if you want to obtain any resource pertaining to your project, you don't have to go anywhere in the Toastmasters International website, or you don't have to ask anybody in your club. You can directly come to the Basecamp website, go to your pathway, go to your level, then your project, and the first page in every project will contain these links, which will contain all the resources required for that particular project. You can download them and then you can use them in any manner you choose to. So uh, this is with respect to the project resources. But before I move on to the next segment, I just want to show you something. So every project will have this last item called as complete your project, right? So here you will have to, I mean, there will be an activity in this exercise. You just have to complete that. And then, of course, you need to add your speech details. So, I mean, I've chosen it here, but for some reason it's not loading up. But only if you add your speech details, the speech date. So make sure that you add your, when you check with your VPE on the availability of the speech slot, and then add in the speech date here. And of course, the club will be your club, and then the evaluator will be the person who's evaluating your speech. So basically, if you belong to a particular club, then all the names of all the members, of all the evaluators of that club will be listed here, and you can choose that particular person. And then in the evaluation resource, of course, there will be evaluation resource for every project here. And I'm sure that it must be there for the icebreaker as well, although I'm not able to find it at this moment. Yeah, here it is. So you can choose the evaluation resource pertaining to your project. And then finally, if you want to pass on some notes to your evaluator, which is what this request description is all about, then you can mention that. And if you hit save and email, the details that you've added here would be saved, and an email will be sent to your evaluator with all of these information. Right? So that way, it will be easier for you to send the evaluation resource And also any extra notes or any extra points that you want your evaluator to check, you can add as a part of request description and send it to them. But say, for example, if you've already completed the project and you're just looking to close it out, I mean, the evaluation is done and everything is done, and you're just looking to close it out, then just add these details and hit save log. So that way, just these details will be saved and the email will not be sent to your evaluator if you have completed your project and the evaluation is already done. And of course, once you've completed this, you can click on next. And the final part would be the before you move on. So in this particular part, you will, so here I've already completed the project, but if you haven't completed the project yet, there will be a question on whether you want to complete the project or not. And if you hit yes, it will ask you, are you sure, just as a confirmation. And if you say yes again, it will once again, it will complete the project and mark the project as completed. And this will only be visible if you have completed all the activities with respect to that particular project, all the exercise with respect to that particular project. If you have missed even a single one of them, you won't be allowed to complete your project until you complete that, corresponding exercise. So this is how you complete a project in Basecamp. Now, as you can see here, there are other projects pertaining to level 1 as well: writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, evaluation and feedback. Now, let's say that I've done all of these projects and I'm good to complete level 1. So this is where you come to this level 1 completion part. Let me just click on it. It's taking a bit of time to load. So whenever you complete a level, so there will be a link called as level, that level number and completion. So since this is my level 1, it says level 1 completion. I'm not sure why it's taking so much of time to load. Just refresh it. And you need to submit your level completion in Basecamp. Only then your level will be considered as completed by Toastmasters International. Whenever you complete a level or you complete a project, the members in your club would know about it. The VPE, the president in your club will know about it, but Toastmasters International does not know about it. So this is the way in which Toastmasters International tracks that. Now, if I go to this level 1 completion section, it will ask me again the same question. Are you sure whether you want to complete this level? Now, I will be able to select yes or no to that question only if I've completed all the projects with respect to level 1. If I have not completed even a single project, then it will display a red banner here saying that I have one more project, or there are some incomplete items. So I have, in that case, I'll have to go back, find out what it is, and then complete the that particular project or that particular exercise, and then come back and check here again. But let's assume that you've completed all your levels. Maybe I'll show this using level 3. Let me just go to level 3 quickly because that will give a better idea. Because level 3 is the level that I'm currently on, and I haven't completed it yet. So let me just go to level 3. I'll just click on this. Yes, as you can see here, in level 3, the first thing that I have before I can come to the projects, which is, these are 3 projects that I have, is called as increasing knowledge. So this is just the basic level link. So as you can see here in this particular, the first link of level 3, there is a level 3 requirements. So which states all the requirements that I must fulfill in order to complete level 3. And after I've completed that, or if I've completed that, I can just go to the checklist and completion. So wherein I can mark everything that I have completed, right? And answer all of these questions and then hit complete my requirements. So as per the new pathways update, For every level completion, you need to complete all the projects pertaining to that level, then fulfill all the role requirements, complete that level. And from level 3 to level 5, you should also do one more thing, which is called as an educational series presentation. You'll have to fulfill that requirement as well. That is not there for level 1 and level 2, but it's there for level 3, level 4, and level 5. So since I'm on level 3, that is the only thing that's pending. But if I complete that, I will also tick this off and then complete all of these reflection questions, and then just hit complete my requirements. So once I do this, I've already completed my projects, my mandatory project for level 3 and my elective projects for level 3. So let's just pretend for a second that I have completed this particular part as well. It's just the successful club series presentation, and I've finished everything here and I complete my requirements. So once I've checked off everything in this checklist and completion link that you would see for each level, then I can go to that level completion link that you see here. Open that up. And this particular banner that I mentioned earlier, but if you don't complete everything with respect to your level, then this particular banner will show up and you will not be able to submit it. But let's suppose that I've completed all the requirements for my level 4, that is level 3, then this banner will not be shown and the submit button will be enabled. And once you click on it, it will ask you if you're absolutely sure that you want to close out this level. And if you once again reconfirm by hitting yes, then your level will be complete and a level completion request will be automatically sent to the vice president of education of your club and the president of your club. From there, to fully finish off the level completion process, your vice president of education or your president should approve that level completion request in Basecamp, in their Basecamp. So if once you have submitted your level completion request here, please be sure to let your vice president of education know to approve that level completion request in Basecamp, or let him or her know that you have submitted your level completion request. And if everything looks good, the vice president of education will approve it. In the absence of your vice president of education, you can let your president know. So the president can also approve. But usually the vice president of education owns this action item. In the absence of vice president of education, you can go to your president. So this is how you submit a level completion in Basecamp. And like I said earlier, Toastmasters International uses this as the source of the truth, the level completions in Basecamp as the source of truth. And so you should keep this updated in order to ensure that uh, it is consistent with your progress in the real world as well, in the real Toastmasters journey as well. So this is with respect to, so this is all you need to know with respect to projects and level completions in Basecamp. And as I mentioned earlier, you can find all the results relevant to your project in Basecamp. You don't have to go anywhere else. And similarly, let me just go back to the persuasive influence. So I'm just going back to my pathway now. Yes, let's assume that you have completed all the 5 levels. Now you will have something called as path completion. And to complete your pathway, there is a project called as Reflect on Your Path. So just like how every pathway starts with a project called as Icebreaker, irrespective of the pathway, every pathway ends with a project called as Reflect on Your Path. There you present a speech, 10 to 12 minute speech, I believe, on uh, everything that you have learned in your pathway. So let me just click on it. It's really up a little. Yes. Okay. So as you can see, just like every other project, you have exercises here. You have to complete all of these exercises. And then finally, you have this path completion section. So if I go here, of course, this says that I have to complete the previous levels because I haven't reached level 5 yet. But if you have completed everything or all the levels with respect to your pathway and you've fulfilled all the requirements, then this banner would not be there. And you can just submit your pathway completion request as well, just like how you submitted your level completion request. So the submit button will be enabled. You can hit submit. You'll be asked to reconfirm. Once you hit yes for that as well, again, the pathway completion request will be sent to the VPE and the president. So if you let the VPE know, he or she will go into the base camp and they will approve it if everything is good. And in the absence of your VPE, you can reach out to your president. And once you complete a pathway, you will get a lot of acknowledgement. First, you'll get an email from Toastmasters International, because completing an entire pathway is not an easy feat. It takes a lot of consistency and a lot of discipline and a lot of commitment to get there. So if you complete a pathway, you will get an encouraging email, a congratulatory email from Toastmasters International, along with a few more acknowledgements and recognitions. You will also be recognized in some division conference with a certificate from the division director or district conference, whatever is appropriate. That is decided by division of the district. So this is how you can submit your pathway completion in Basecamp. So you need to complete every project in Basecamp, and after completing every project in a level, you need to submit the level completion request in Basecamp. So it needs to be approved by your VPE or president. And finally, after you've completed all the levels in your pathway, you need to finish the reflect on your path project and then submit the path completion request in Basecamp, which once again needs to be approved by your VP or president. So this is the process with respect to updating your progress in Basecamp. And Basecamp is the source of truth, as I mentioned earlier, that Toastmasters International uses to track your progress. So if you are, say, for example, participating in a contest like International Speech Contest, which requires all the participants to complete to level 2 minimum, then your vice president of education or whoever is verifying that criteria will come to Basecamp and will check your progress in Basecamp. And if you completed level 2 in Basecamp, then they will consider that as valid criteria for you and they would approve it. But otherwise, there might be some problems there. So that is just one situation where completing or marking or tracking your level completion in Basecamp is essential. But in general, it's a good practice to keep your Basecamp up to date with the progress that you've made in your Toastmasters journey. So this is all the things that I wanted to cover, mainly with respect to Basecamp and pathways. And of course, there are a lot more things that you can do with your Basecamp. For example, let me check if I can find it. Go back to persuasive influence. Then if you go back to home, in that case, yes. So as you can see here, there are multiple options. So the first one that I wanted to show you really was profile. So here, the most important thing that I want to show you, of course, you can add in all your details here, but the most important thing that I wanted to show you is with respect to the meeting rules. So as you know, with respect to, as a part of the new pathways update, every member needs to complete some roles in order to fulfill the completion of a level, right? So every level completion requires you to perform some roles in your club meetings. Now, in order to keep track of those meeting roles and to let you understand what are the roles that you need to complete a particular level, you can use this particular meeting roles section in the profile page, uh, of your Basecamp account. And as you can see here, I have marked the roles the different roles that I played and the dates on which I have played. So this way I can understand like whether I've completed a role or not for a particular level. And I can just correlate that and try and understand like how much more I need to do or how many roles that I need to play in order to complete a particular level. So to add a date for a particular role that you played, it's very simple. You can just click on the edit icon here, the pencil icon that you see here. You can just choose the role. Let me just, for the sake of this, let me just say Toastmaster, and you can choose the date on which you play the role. Let me just select the date. Of course, I was not the TMOD on that day, but I'm just uh, choosing that. And if you click on save, then a badge will be added here, pretty similar to what you see here with the date on which you played that particular role. So this way you can keep track of the roles that you played and the date on which you played that particular role. So that way you can just go and check out the agenda as well with respect to tracking the roles that you play. So this is one of the things that I want to show in the profile page. And there are also other things available here, but you can check those out at your convenience. They're not um, that important when it comes to completing your pathways. You can just check it out at your own convenience. So these are the details that I want to cover with respect to Basecamp and pathways, how you can use Basecamp to complete your pathways. Now, as I was mentioning before, you need to, so in order to complete a level in your pathway, you need to complete a set of projects, play a set of meeting roles, and also complete an education series if you are anywhere between level 3 to level 5. So I will be adding a description link in the, or adding a link in the description of this video, which will contain the details of, or which will have a PPT that will contain the details of the uh, the level completion or the roles, the projects, and the uh, education series that you must do in order to complete a level. You can check that out too to get more details about the pathways. But yeah, basically this is what I want to cover with respect to pathways and Basecamp. And now that I've done it, I'm going to end this session. Uh, so yes, you can, if you have any questions, you can, uh, reach out to your club's vice president or vice president of education or president for getting those clarifications. Or you can also reach out to somebody in the district if it requires their attention in the absence of your club VP or president. Thank you so much. With that, I would like to conclude this session.